It finally happened in week 9. We waited all season for it, and we got it. The Brock Bowers explosion game. It determined DFS contests. It sent best ball teams' advance rates soaring from 12th place to 9th place. We're going to break it all down today. All of the DFS action from yesterday. We'll do a little Monday Night Football preview, maybe a week 10 first look. Can't believe we are in the double digits. Week 10 on the horizon. I'm Pete Overzet. This is the Portfolio Review. Let's do it.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, 35 bullets to your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
All right, GM. Hey everyone. We got my guy Matthew in the chat referencing last night's ShipCast. Matthew says Davis starting as Booger McFarland and ending as Joe Buck was a top 3 ShipCast moment. Just an absolute humdinger of a ShipCast yesterday. So much fun. There were multiple plot points, multiple things we were juggling. We had the huge pick 'em sweat. We had Davis going from the worst announcer in sports to the best announcer right when we needed it the most. I won't spoil too much of it because I do think it is a show you can rewatch back, even knowing what happens, and enjoy it. So make sure you guys check that out. If for some reason you watch this channel and you guys aren't subscribed to Ship Chasing, we got a couple of shows over there every week, 4 p.m. every Sunday, the ShipCast. We're hanging out, sweating DFS teams, sweating pick'ems, tilting our faces off. Michael Leone joined us yesterday, so that was fun to have a little Bills Chiefs back and forth with him and Davis. And then, of course, Stat Chasing on Tuesday nights. And I believe ADP Chasing is going to do a show tomorrow morning as well. They do their monthly show first Tuesday of the month. So keep an eye out for that. We got Kendrick and the audio listener gang this morning. What is up? AJ Mazzone has 23 Bowers BBM teams with no chance of advancing. You know what? I did check right before the show started because I was curious on that. Because yesterday, pre-Bowers, we looked during the show, and obviously the Bowers score hadn't updated, and I think I was 0 of 20, and now I'm 2 of 20. So, you know, we're starting. We got some time to run. What do we got? 5 weeks? Weeks 10 through 14 to get those teams up there. GMs all around. Week 9 was indeed your week. I don't know about that. I mean, on the pick'em front, it certainly was. It was certainly there. That big pick'em on the ShipCast certainly covered most of the weekend's entry fees, so I can't complain there. Although still hunting down that first win on the Dawg app in 2025. But we're getting warmer. We'll review all of that, the DraftKings actions, all of that good stuff here. I think we need to pour some coffee, though, and then we can really get down to business. All right, coffee's going. We can pull up our teams here. B. Stockland enjoyed the ShipCast yesterday. What's up, Rini? Yes, Christy, as elite tight end is such a rug. I could never draft an early tight end. It's so funny, too, because I had the clip that I posted on the channel this week. It was from last week's portfolio review. And someone came in and asked me, Pete, can you ever envision drafting an elite tight end again? And I closed my eyes and I imagined a world in March of 2026 where the big board opens up and Rondé Gadsden has a second round ADP and I'm scooping up Brock Bowers at the end of the third. That's starting to look a little silly now. I don't know if Brock Bowers is going to make it to the end of third in 2026 big board draft. So yes, how quickly things change after someone scores the most full point PPR points of any player in fantasy, which is exactly what Brock Bowers did yesterday. Him and Trey Tucker, the two leading point scorers as far as the number 1 and number 2 most points scored in full point PPR this year. You know, we don't give the Raiders too much love, but apparently they can facilitate the ceiling games for us. Let's get the overlays rolling. We'll start on DraftKings, where I did not fare too well. I had a couple lineups that cash, but I'm going to focus on my lineups in the SPY and in the red zone. I was pretty stoked about the lineup I played in the SPY, but boy, did it have some highs and lows. Here it is for the audio listeners. We played Caleb Williams at 9.4%. He goes for 38.7 points. We included Kyle Monangai in the stack. This is one of the ways I did really like playing Kyle Monangai as part of a big Bears block. He's 72.7% in the SPY, which honestly feels pretty efficient to me. We called him, the dreaded 2-letter word, the free square, on the cram yesterday. He goes for 25.8 points. I had DJ Moore at 4.5 points. He scores 22.98, including a passing touchdown to Caleb Williams. I'm like, man, we are really cooking here. All right, guys, Rome Odunze, last part of this stack. We're going to get there, folks. We're going to get there. Rome Odunze, 11.8% ownership. Not bad, not bad. Wait for it. 0 points. A true bagel in a game with 89 points scored. Rome Odunze couldn't muster a single point. So this team had the kind of Caleb Williams onslaught, didn't do a bring back in this one, had Puka Nacua at 14%. He scores 22.8, played Tyrone Tracy in the Giants defense together. I liked that correlation. If you guys listen to the cram, one of my awful takes from yesterday was kind of fading all of the Niners pieces, including CMC, and wanting to play it from this side. This was also a call that Youdacao made on Block Party that I liked. Tracy comes in at 16.7% ownership, which I think is pretty good and aligns with what we were all feeling with the chalk really shifting, obviously going to Monangai, going to Henderson, and that was going to pull down the chalk on Tyrone Tracy. So 16.7%, don't feel bad about that. I do feel bad about him only scoring 6.7 points. The real big misstep in this lineup is having Tyler Warren. I was really hot on the Colts passing game yesterday. You'll see that in my red zone lineup. Tyler Warren at 24.3% ownership, $500 more than Brock Bowers, and scores an absolute fraction of the amount of points that Brock Bowers scored. So that one hurts there, another snowflake. And then I flexed Brian Thomas Jr., who was another complete and utter disappointment. I don't know how I did it. Like, I managed to get in the two, highly touted year 2 prospects in this lineup in Rome Odunze and Brian Thomas Jr., who both completely fell on their face. So I was, I had some parts of this right, mainly the Caleb Williams, Monangai, DJ Moore, paying up for Puka fine, and then everything else fell apart from there. Another one of the things from watching, if you guys were watching the cram yesterday, I was running lineups, trying to look at the best lineups without Jamar Chase and CMC. Those were kind of two stands I wanted to make. The Jamar Chase one worked out okay. The CMC one, not so much. He goes for 30% or 30 points as chalk. But the top Caleb Williams lineup included Olamide Zaccheaus instead of Rome Odunze. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need this Olamide stuff. But he indeed ended up being the other Bears piece you needed. And kind of just a funky game, right? Where at Jamar Chase's salary and ownership, he doesn't really get there. And then Rome Odunze, the preferred pass catcher to stack with Caleb, he completely bagels. So you basically wanted to play that game through Caleb, all of the cheaper pass catchers, and then a T. Higgins bring back would have been the nuts. We can see here what first place did in the SPY, taking down that $100,000 that feels further and further away from me every single week I play this godforsaken contest. Look at all these flames here. They had the Kyle Williams, the Monangai, the DJ Moore, and the T. Higgins bring back. There it is. T. Higgins at 3.5%. This is just a sick team. This is what I was trying to do. They didn't X out CMC. They play him. They play Rashee Rice instead of Puka. Rashee Rice, kind of a disappointing game, all things considered, but they manufacture him that rushing touchdown. So he gets to 18.6 points. And then, of course, Brock Bowers, 18.9% owned, drops a near 50 ball, 46.3 points. This team plays the Henderson chalk at 30%, 12.7, ends up being a better, production output relative to salary and ownership as Tyrone Tracy. And then Titans defense at 1.2%. That's a pretty sick play. You're jamming in all the stuff you want. CMC, Rice, Higgins, Bowers. And so you got a punt defense. You get off of the Falcons chalk and play a 1.2% Titans D who goes for 20 points, 6 sacks 1 interception in 2 defensive TDs. This is just a really pretty looking lineup here. So shout out to CP Ryan 024 for doing what I will never do, which is ship the spy. Yeah, looks like we have so much sadness about Roma Dunze. It really does seem inexcusable. I will say, I want to say Hayden tweeted something, and this is like a level of ball knowledge above my pay grade, but he was tweeting something about the Bears actually having a shutdown corner. The Bengals. So even though the Bengals are one of the worst defenses, they give up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. And we'll talk about that with Colston Loveland in a second. They give up the biggest fantasy boost to opposing running backs, but they actually have a shutdown corner. Let me see if I can find this here from Hayden, because I saw this come across my timeline yesterday. Where is it? Okay, here you go. Yeah, so this was a tweet from Hayden the other day. You might not believe it, but the Bengals have an absolute stud at CB and DJ Turner, and then said next victim, Roma Dunze. So is that going to be our new Galbrain? Is you play every single pass catcher against the Bengals except your wide receiver 1? I don't know. I'll have to work on that flow chart. We got Gunner gifting 10 memberships. Gunner, let me know in the chat. I assume you took something down. Nobody just waltzes into this stream feeling this generous without some wind in their sails. But congratulations on whatever you did in week 9. Actually, did you qualify for the Dawg Bowl? Now that you say it, I might be remembering one of your posts in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. But let me know either way. We'll obviously be checking in on underdog lineups here in a little bit. Minnesota Mike wants me to explain how Dunze gets 0 points against the Bengals. I did, I guess, just try to explain it. DJ Turner, is he our culprit here? But I don't even think we can let Rome off the hook that easy. I mean, you got to get there. He had that one pass. There was an end zone target. Wasn't it end zone target? There was one pass where Caleb threw it behind him. I think it was in the end zone. And it wasn't quite Rome's fault. I think someone with steady hands might have been able to make the grab. You know, maybe a George Pickens reaches behind him and makes the grab, but Roma Dunze certainly did not. As far as this Colston Loveland thing, the Loveland thing's really tilting to me, honestly, because even earlier in the week on Underdog on Thursday, I wrote up my gems. I wrote up Colston Loveland. I was ready to play Colston Loveland, pulled down my flow chart, tight ends against the Bengals. Then you see Cole Kmet's returning back from his absence. He was out last week. Thought Colston Loveland was a good play with him out last week. And so now everything's lining up. It's like Colston Loveland, no one's going to play him. Awesome matchup. Let's go. And then I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do the 50% timeshare tight end who hasn't even broken out yet, even if the matchup is good. And then you have Cole Kmet leaving the game early, and then Colston Loveland goes nuke in the second half. So I don't know. It's frustrating, but I don't think from a process standpoint, it was bad to not waive the rookie tight end in a timeshare there. Gunner. Okay. Gunner did win the DBQ. Incredible. We will pull that up in a second. And thank you again here. I bubbled last week and finished 15 in the main and Twitter messaged you. I'm sorry. Did I respond to your Twitter message? I think I did. I hope I did. But congratulations, Gunner. We'll check out your lineup here in a few minutes. While we're on DraftKings, and I'll show you guys my red zone lineup in a second, but I got to show this up. Talking about the Loveland stuff. Did you guys see this? Youdacao ships the Millie, not the $20 Millie, but the 555. This guy, man, I'm telling you, and you can see here, I searched for his lineups filtered for them in here, but this is the team he played to take down the Millie. He scores 249.78 points. That would have been good for second place in the SPY here. But this guy, man, he's unreal. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, and Kyle Monangai, of course. So playing that Caleb block without Roma Dunze, doesn't force a bring back. Of course, plays CMC, plays Puka, plays Romeo Dobbs, and then, of course, the coup d'etat, Brock Bowers in the flex. So this dude just pulls up with, can I do math? 78, 79 combined points from his tight end positions. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it was a 2 tight end week. If you played Colston Loveland at 1.2%, Brock Bowers, Lions D only scores 7, doesn't matter. This dude hit the nuts with the Caleb stack. Could have even played T. Higgins as a bring back instead, and it still probably wouldn't have mattered. This lineup is just too dominant when you get the Loveland and Bowers. And I will say, tabbing through his lineups, you can see here CMC, Monungai, Bowers on almost every one of these. Here's a Henderson instead of Monungai, but CMC, Bowers, CMC, Monungai, no Bowers here. CMC, Monungai, Bowers. So that was certainly his core. He also seemed to have a ton of DJ Moore across these lineups, some Olamide stuff. But you can tell here having a pretty tight core and then cycling some of these stacks around him. Even up here in a caching team, you see a Daniel Jones stack. You see a Justin Herbert stack. Look at this with the DK bring back. But Bowers, CMC, Monungai were just near lock buttons for him across this contest. So way too sharp. You guys can tune in every Friday to the Bully the Sim show to get Yuda's thoughts. Always a pleasure to get to talk to. I think pound for pound the best DFS player in the world. I don't think anyone does it better on a week-to-week basis than Youdacao. Is there anyone else in DFS that you can think of it being ho-hum when they win a milli? Like there's basically no fanfare even needed. It's just another day at the office for him. I was in the in-game syndicate Discord. There's like 3 messages. It's like, congrats. How many is that for you right now? So he responded and said, I don't know, around 10. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being so cavalier about winning $1 million that you can't even count how many times you've done it? Unreal. Tip of the cap to Youdacao, the true GOAT. And I know people toss that word around loosely. I think in the case of Youdacao, it is very literal. Okay. Fatty McFats, get out of here. Fatty McFats wants to, if I had 15 entries in the 555, I would have won too. Oh my God. I thought this is 2025. I thought we're beyond that. Go play the mini max with 150 entries and tell me how you do. Okay. Let's look at the red zone. My red zone lineup. I really wanted to play the Colts passing game somewhere. We talked about it on the cram. Daniel Jones ends up getting steamed here in this lineup here for the audio listeners. This is in the big red zone, 25K to first. Play Daniel Jones comes in at 16.6%. That's way, way higher than his projected ownership. He scores 22.08 points. He does get the rushing touchdown, so the thesis of the play is kind of there, but their offense just could not get going against the Steelers. My kind of IKB play of the week was Josh Downs at 4,400. He's only 3%. He scores 16.7 points. Not the greatest game for him. He muffs a fumble that completely kind of changed the trajectory of the game at the time and gave the Steelers a short field. So that wasn't great. And then another Tyler Warren team here. So pretty disappointing to play that stack. I did have the Tracy and Monungai pairing here again. Puka and Rashee Rice in this one, paying up to get both of those guys in. Falcons defense. And so this lineup scores 146.78 points, not enough to get it done. I think from a process standpoint, and also Travis Etienne. Sorry, Travis Etienne in the flex here at 3.4%. I kind of like that play. I played Brian Thomas Jr. in the one lineup, Etienne in this one. I kind of wanted some exposure to that game. Why I didn't think to get my exposure via Brock Bowers, like staring at a 5,600 Travis Etienne, when I could have just played a $5,000 Brock Bowers and accomplished what I wanted to, which is exposure to that game, is incredibly frustrating. But it is what it is. Let's see what took down the red zone, though. Jackson Dart. So here you get a Jackson Dart, Tyrone Tracy with a CMC bring back. So even with the Tracy dud, still able to take it down, get the Parker Washington, Brock Bowers mini correlation. Pretty interesting that Parker Washington was only 15.6%, considering he was one of the cash game options. Seemed like a lot of the cash game bros were either playing Parker Washington or Olamide Zacchaeus. So Parker Washington at 17, scoring 17 points in a little mini with Brock Bowers looks good. And then the other player that hasn't shown up in these lineups yet, and they will certainly show up when we start looking at underdog lineups, is Drake London. Drake London at 3.1% goes for the hat trick, 41.8 points, leaves the game 2 weeks ago with the injury, misses last week, comes back, absolutely scorches the Patriots secondary there, had some incredible catches in that game. 41 points from London, 46 from Bowers, 37 from McCaffrey, some monster scores. And then this lineup has Amon-Ra. It doesn't even have Rashi, doesn't have Puka. Amon-Ra fine, 18.7 points, but nothing special. And then does pay up a little bit for the Steelers defense here, who scores 18. This is J.R. Jorgensen, 12, taking down the red zone. Congratulations. We can look. I had a couple lineups that cashed. My best lineup, I threw a few in these other single entries. This is in the $27 blind side. I did want to play a Jared Goff lineup. We were talking about that on the cram. There were 2 quarterbacks when we polled everyone on the cram, which, by the way, every Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, one of my favorite shows to do each week. It's for YouTube members, the highest tier, Hand Builder and Opto Bros. We run through the position. We do polls with the chat to get a gauge on where ownership and steam might be coming from. And it was interesting because the 2 most popular nominations yesterday from the chat in the cram for favorite quarterback play were Daniel Jones and Jared Goff. And you could see the steam reflected in the Daniel Jones ownership at 16%. But the Jared Goff stuff stayed in check at 5.5%. I was really with everyone on liking that play, just thinking, hey, this is a home spot in the Dome against a division rival, lots of explosive players in this game, and it's not going to be owned. So I played a Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Lad McConkey, Jameson Williams. That was that block. I didn't bring it back with anything, but on this one, I did get Brock Bowers in a lineup. And I also had Drake London. This is really disappointing to have a Drake London, Brock Bowers team that doesn't do better than this. But Lad McConkey scoring 9.6 points, Tyrone Tracy at 6.7, and Chargers defense was the other pieces of this lineup. And then Kyle Monangai. But yeah, I'm like looking at this lineup and I'm like, Monangai, London, Bowers, even JMO scores that touchdown, but just not enough from Lad, Tracy, and the Chargers defense. You really needed to avoid those duds to have a chance. Holy cow. Is this J.R. Jorgensen? See, J.R. did the move that I like to do, which is you toss your single entry lineup into a couple tournaments. This is the same team that won the red zone for $25K. This Chad tosses it in the $27 blind side for another $7,500. That's how you get paid off when you're right. So congratulations. Have yourself a day, JR. I think I had one. There were a few other teams I wanted to play. So I had another one here. Let me see. What was my other team? Nothing noteworthy here. Or was this one we built on stream? Oh, I think this is the one I built with JM, and then I had to tweak it, right? Because it had DeAndre Swift on it. So I obviously had to take him out. This is from the Block Party show. So it had Flacco. There was another piece I moved around, and I think I turned it into the double stack because we had done the Flacco to Chase on the Block Party show. I switched Swift to Monangai, and then I think I got up from whoever was our lower priced wide receiver, maybe someone in the chat remembers, and I took it up to T. Higgins, and then we, of course, had Brock Bowers on here. So this one, a Friday build, sniffed the cash line as well. All right. I think that's about it. We can see what took down the other Millie maker. I had one bullet in the Millie because on After Dark on Saturday night, Easy and I built a team for the Millie maker that didn't do well because it was a Mahomes double stack. That didn't get there, but let's see what the other millionaire looks like here. Kaiser 21 takes it down with a team pretty similar to what we've been seeing. This had the Caleb Williams, Olamide Monangai with the Jamar Chase bring back. It nails the Drake London and Brock Bowers, Titans defense, Jalen Warren, and CMC. Just an absurd lineup there as well. 264.7 points. Lowest scoring player in this lineup is Jalen Warren, who scored 2 rushing TDs. What a weird line for Jalen Warren. 2 rushing TDs, -2 receiving yards, 31 rush yards, and 2 receptions. So that's the old, what can I do some math here? What is that, like 1.8 points on 2 receptions for -2 yards? God bless PPR scoring there. And then, of course, Youdacao, just casually too in the top 10 of the other Millie for a truly ho-hum 5 mil. Man, you do really realize how sick this contest is when you see 10th place. You drop 249.78 points for 5K. And again, I ain't kicking 5K out of bed for eating crackers. No, they can stay as long as they want, but still pretty sick in a contest with this many people, 161,000 entrants, and to get 10th place and only get 5K. Seems cruel. Seems cruel. Yeah, and this is true about a lot of stuff. Baby Yaga here says Baba Yaga. Am I getting that right? What's crazy is that the Millie lineup isn't even close to the best lineup you could have had. Yeah, you do not have to be optimal for sure. It looks like this is the exact same lineup that Yuda won the other Millie with. He just tossed them in the big Millie as well. You certainly don't need perfection. You need the players who go nuts. You need the Bowers, you need the London, you need the CMC. It seems like you either needed London or Loveland because first place didn't have Loveland, but these other teams had either, I guess this team had, Bowers. There's a Bowers, London, Bowers. Like, there's just no way you're finishing in the top without 46 points from Brock Bowers. Just no way. Brock Bowers did more for balding men yesterday than Rogaine has ever done. The perfect lineup was close to 300 points with double tight end. There you go. So you could be 35 points off of the optimal, 35.3 points off the optimal, and still ship a Millie. It's nice to know in life, guys. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. You have to identify the 4 players on the slate who are going to go for 30 plus points, and that's about it. It's that easy. All right, let's head to Underdog here, and we can check out things. I'll lead with some of my highs before we get to some of my lows here. The biggest high was in the ShipCast. Normally we build a 4-legger. Before every show, we each give a pick. Myself, Davis, Karain, and Jacob Sanderson. And they haven't been doing well. We have not gotten all 4 of us, in conjunction, getting a winner. But that all changed yesterday. Davis comes in, stays on brand, says, I want Rashee Rice higher, 15.25 fantasy points. Jacob Sanderson, who's like 7 weeks in a row of his pick hitting, says Brock Bowers, easy game, higher than 54.5 receiving yards. I said, you know what? Parker Washington, if this Brian Thomas stuff doesn't hit, it's certainly going to be Parker Washington. I'll take him higher than 40.5 receiving yards. Check. Karain comes in and says, you know what? Devontae Adams, higher than 12.85 fantasy points. Yeah, give me that. He goes for 20.5. And Leone, our guest contributor to this pick'em, says Josh Allen scoring a rushing TD. And I think this was at a slight multiplier as well, 1.06, I want to say. So this ended up being a 30x payout. Had that witching hour 30% boost there. I think some people got it with the 50% boost. Ended up being able to turn the $50 max bet here into $1,370. A nice little stimmy there. And then we even built a second half pick'em, touchdown pick'em as well with Kyron, Ashton Genty, and Kareem Hunt. Each of them scored in the second half of those games. And so that one hit as well. So like Brock Bowers, the ShipCast was back yesterday, finally found our form, and helped push me into the green on the slate thanks to that big pick'em entry. And hopefully a bunch of you guys were able to tail that. I don't blame you if you don't tail. Up until last week or this week, it would have been very smart not to tail us, but we finally got one home there for the people. I'm going to pour a little more coffee here, and then we can start looking at the real lineups here in these contests. we got a quick question here from Rini. Do I play the primetime Palooza slates? Those are the short slates like Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football a lot or not really? And how do you like them? I don't play them a lot. When I'm doing well on Underdog and I'm not depositing and I have some money in my account, I like to dabble. We do one on stream here on Mondays. But I don't think I have an edge in them, and I don't have the time to get the volume down in them that I think I really need to be successful. And I just don't really have a streamlined process for it in the way I do the BRs and the weekly stuff. So no, I don't play them a lot. And truthfully, I like a little decompression from the slate. Like Monday, obviously reviewing on this show. And then I like having kind of like Tuesday and Wednesday to just kind of flush out all of the bad toxins from the previous week and start anew on Thursday. So the primetime Paloozas kind of muck that up a little bit for me personally. I think it's great that they have the games. I'm very happy for the people who enjoy playing them, but just not quite my thing. All right, let's look at the drafts here. I think I had like 2K in play and I returned 1,600. So just kind of a survive in advance week for me. Let's start with the Battle Royale. And I first got to talk about this user here in third place. And my heart legitimately goes out for them. And I know everyone will be like, all right, but B-Nems won $10,000 here. No one is going to, play the world's smallest violin for them. But B-Nems was running away with first place in the BR yesterday after the 1 p.m. games. They had Caleb, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Monangai, Drake London, and then Colston Loveland at 2.36%. Colston Loveland at basically non-existent ownership scores 26.8 points. This is like the scroll of the year. I feel like John Warner and Nez need to host the Scrollies, the scroll of the year. This would have been Colston Loveland. I mean, this was a loaded tight end slate. There were 5 really strong plays and then another 2 to 3 really strong, the Laporta, the Kelsey, the Kincaid, like going 8 deep. And it was so hard for me to scroll. But this user gets it with the Caleb Monangai, Colston Loveland. And then they have Devontae Adams cruising in the 4 p.m. window. They are up by almost 20 points, I believe, heading into like halftime of the 4 p.m. games. And then Brock Bowers absolutely nullifies everything Colston Loveland does. And this team gets passed by 2 Brock Bowers teams. I mean, to just think you did the unthinkable. And I apologize, B-Nems, if you're watching this and you're tilting your face off right now. I'm trying to give you kudos. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how unthinkable this is. You call your moonshot, just an absolute moonshot, and you get it. And you don't hold on to a 20-point lead. You Atlanta Falconed it. I'm so sorry. Brock Bowers storms back. 2 teams pass them. These Josh Allen teams. Here's the winning team here. Josh Allen, 28.8, 2 points. Christian McCaffrey, 31.8. I'm kind of stunned that James Cook is in the winning lineup and not Kyle Monangai paired with Christian McCaffrey, but James Cook at 13. So this drafter goes Allen, CMC, Cook, CMC 101, and then I assume, Allen and Cook at the 2-3 turn. They come back and grab Brock Bowers at pick 24. They grab, who did they grab? Drake London at 25, so pull him up a little bit. And then their final scroll, they get T. Higgins at 21%. So wild to me that this team didn't need Monangai, but having the T. Higgins at 21% was enough to get it done there with his 29.6 points, because basically the 2v2s on James Cook and T. Higgins versus the second place team, which was Monangai and Devontae Adams, ended up being the difference there. 41.3 from the Monangai Adams versus the 42.6 points from the James Cook T. Higgins. So again, pretty wild there. And another illustration, you didn't have to be perfect. Theoretically, there's a lineup here that goes Josh Allen, CMC, Bowers, comes back, grabs Monangai. And I was doing a little Monangai at the 2-3 turn as well, just pulling him up. He projected well. His ADP closed at like 19. So there is a lineup that's even just blows past this with another 7 or 8 points that scores 181 points. If you're wanting to think about realistic perfect lineups on Underdog in week 9. Shout out T-Box, one of the Underdog legends on the platform. He finishes in 4th place with a Allen CMC, Jacobs iteration, London, and Adams, Brock Bowers. Obviously, one of the things that happens when you review these slates is you're going to see a few pieces that are just going to be in most of these lineups. Bowers, obviously, London, obviously, CMC. You really had to avoid the landmine that was Jonathan Taylor. You had to have CMC as your round 1 pick. There just was not enough from the other round 1 guys to even be in the conversation. I think you could scroll through all of these. Did I just see a Rico here? Where's that Rico? Here's a Rico. Talk about another 6 scroll. You head into the slate. I think I had 1 Rico Dowdle share. I was like, I'll do a Jordan Love Rico Dowdle team. But Rico Dowdle at 5.57% after the team comes out and says, hey, we're going to give Rico, the full bell cow roll again. We're done with this Chuba nonsense. That's a really nice scroll there. And again, this team finishes in 10th place with 7 points from Brian Thomas. 7 points from Brian Thomas. So if you have the Devontae Adams, if you have the T. Higgins here, you win BR again. So, man, so many teams up here with kind of some duds in their lineup, but it just doesn't matter when you nail 3 or 4 of those nutted week 9 plays. Let's look at my top lineup. I had one team that was charging there. It finishes in 149th place. It had Devontae Adams, Bowers, and Allen going late. So I'm like, okay, this has a little juice. I mean, I was mega blocked in that every top team had Bowers. Allen was on a ton of them. The real difference maker on this one, and again, it's another week of being a 1v1 off the nuts, is Nico Collins versus Drake London. And, I'm not going to do the thing I did last week where I'm like, yeah, if I just wouldn't have tinkered with my swap ranks, I would have been swapped to Pittman and won, yada, yada. But the thing that's tilting about this for me is all week when I would get to the last round for my picks, and you can see here, this Nico pick was pick 35. It was 2 players staring at me for my wide receiver 2, assuming I wasn't doing a correlated thing. So when I have Josh Allen, like I did very little Shakir. So I'm looking for a one-off wide receiver. And there were always 2 names I was debating between: Nico Collins and Drake London. Those were the 2 that stood out. They were undervalued from a projection standpoint because they both had missed the week previously. And I took Nico Collins at probably a 70% clip in those spots, and Drake London at maybe only a 30% clips. I think I had 8 Drake London teams, which does not feel like enough in hindsight. And obviously on this one, if I just go the other way in that 1v1, then I am, what am I? I'm tied for second. Yeah, I have the exact same team as second place there. So another week where if I just go the other way in that 1v1, I chop here 15K with sweet Paparone. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting close. I feel like I'm doing a good job managing my exposures. I like how I've been building my portfolio. I think I'm building less bad lineups than I was maybe early in the year. And when I say bad lineups, I just mean 2 off the board. I still do some off the board stuff. I had 5 Daniel Jones to Josh Downs stacks. I'm still going to scratch that itch, that Galbrain itch, try to hit on my own version of the Colston Loveland play. But yeah, I'm happy with how I'm playing right now. Just have not gotten the combos to come together perfectly for a really nice finish. But I'm going to keep chipping away in the coal mines. The never stop gambling meme. That's me. I did have a other lineup here. Look at my second best lineup, guys. Look at this one. This finishes in 180th place with a 0. Joe Flacco to T. Higgins. It has Brock Bowers. It has CMC, Kyron Williams. Another one here. Give me, if this team has Devontae Adams on it, what does Devontae score? 20 points. And this is the exact range where you're taking Devontae. I took Rome at 13 in this one. So 20 points from Devontae here is good for 168. That's a top 5 finish. So another 1v1 not going my way, which is frustrating because I think I had a lot of Devontae Adams yesterday. But you can see here from my exposures, see my Nico exposure, 24.6% Nico. He's my most drafted receiver, and really seems messed up when I see 6.2% Drake London. Really wish I had played Nico and Drake London like more of a coin flip as opposed to Drake London being second fiddle to Nico. Did have Brock Bowers as my highest drafted tight end. Cannot complain there, 23%. Then Kittle, then Warren, then Kraft. I was jamming Bowers. Helped, I think raise my amount of min cashes, obviously, but didn't come together for a top score. My top running back, Kyron Williams, he hit his projection dead on. I think ETR had him projected for 16 points. He finished just around there. Jonathan Taylor, though, this was my other kind of costly error from a process standpoint. I wasn't going to fade CMC, but I was taking Jonathan Taylor over him at a pretty good frequency, even though the ADPs had it reversed. So Jonathan Taylor, 22.6%, CMC 15.9%. So very different day if I take CMC over JT and I even out my Drake London and Nico exposures, but that's how it goes. I'm not going to beat myself up too much about the Drake London versus Nico. Nico did project better. He also lost his quarterback halfway through that game. CJ Stroud entered the concussion protocol, so he was catching balls from, was it Davis Mills or whatever? But yeah, a little frustrating. I feel good about slamming Kyle Monangai. I know there's sometimes a little sticker shock with the, running back who emerges late in the week as a play. His ADP, went from undrafted all the way up to 20, but I kept clicking him at a pretty good rate, getting him, my third most drafted running back. Quarterback, I was incredibly spread out. Mahomes, 12.8, Caleb, 10.8, Goff, 9.2, Jones, 9.2, Dart, 8.2, just really, really flat, sprinkling in the various stacks here, but felt overall pretty good about my BR play here. Let's see here. I am catching up on some of your comments here. Brent says the Houston defense makes Nico such a hard click. The Texans just never take part in real shootouts. Yeah, but I think you could say similar to like the Drake London game, right? Like that wasn't necessarily a shootout. The play with those guys, and it's often the play you want to make in the BRs, is you just want to target the guys in the 6th round who either project for a huge market share of carries or a huge market share of targets, and getting guys like Drake London and Nico who can condense the majority of their team's offense. They can get there in different game environments, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a shootout. And I think that was the thesis of the play for Nico last year. This Texans defense was nearly incompetent on offense, and Nico was still showing up for 20 to 25 point games. So I'm not going to not click Nico because the Texans defense is good and keeps games low scoring, because Nico's such a playmaker and such a threat in the red zone. But I do hear you. It was an attractive game environment. I had basically no Broncos on the slate. I had one CJ Stroud stack. Like I was not leaning into that game whatsoever, but I did like Nico as a one-off, and I was willing to trust the projection there, although too much. Yeah, T. Higgins at 21%. A pivot off of the round 1 chase stuff is always a very good play. Jordan says, is there anything more tilting than looking at the Bears box score and seeing checks notes, Caleb Williams 2 receptions, and Rome 0? No, I think that is about peak tilt there. David, as usual, rolling by for his weekly tradition of giving out memberships. You really don't have to do that every week, David. But I feel like me telling you that isn't going to deter you either way. So all I can say is thank you, sir. And I believe you tailed us on that ShipCast Pick Em. So I'm glad you were able to get in on that with us. Yeah, Mr. Galin here. To get out of here with this, I got second in the bomb, was bummed to not win it for the 3rd week in a row. At least you didn't go full humble brag, Galin. At least that's just full on brag here. I did see you in first place there for a little bit, and I was like, is this asshole going to win the bomb for the 3rd straight week? BTFD takes it down with an Allen, CMC, Kyron, Brock Bowers, Drake London, Pittman. London 43%, in DeBomb, and then our guy Galin here in second with a 6 scroll to DJ Moore in the DeBomb, only 5.4% here. We didn't even see him a ton in the large BR, but you get the Caleb Williams, the Menungai, DJ Moore block, Jacobs, and Puka, and then of course you needed Brock Bowers, 37. I cashed one team, so eked out a small profit into bomb with this 14th place finish with another 0. I mean, let me see. Can I do my my math here? So if I had played DJ Moore like Galin 20 points instead of a 0, then I score 148. And then I finished third. So that's all I had to do was play DJ Moore instead of Rome. My lineups was Caleb. This is crazy. This team finishes in 14th place with 6.7 from Taylor. This is what I'm going to do to myself, guys. I'm about to look at where I drafted Jonathan Taylor. I really hope it says 2 and not 1. I like doing this to myself. I'm a masochist. Let's get the reveal here. Does this Jonathan Taylor say 2 or 1? It says 1. It says 1. Mr. IKB got to take Jonathan Taylor over CMC, even though CMC projects for 2 more points. And that's why I don't win. That's why I don't win. There we go. $800 for 14th place with 6.7 from JT and a 0 from Rome. Unbelievable. Unbelievable here. Fullback dive. Who took that down? Oh, Car Park. I did see this on Twitter. Shout out to Car Park. Jackson Dart, first time seeing him in one of these lineups. Lots of quarterbacks who put up big scores yesterday. Obviously, Allen. Obviously, Caleb. Herbert had a nice day. Dart had a nice day. He has CMC Kyron on this. Jefferson. So, again, you don't need the perfection in these smaller contests. Drake London, Brock Bowers. Shout out to Car Park there. Let's see. Anything else of note? Oh, have a cool story here from the Deposit Kingdom contest, which we're going to look at here. So this user here is KernelHotLook. Look at this comment that I get. I'll try to pull this up on screen. So he commented on the Off and On the Clock show. So do this show every Friday with Nez and John. And he says, "Hi, Pete. Just want to say that I tried my first 6-person 6-round draft on Underdog this weekend and ended up winning the Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. Thanks for all the content. Bowers is Bay. London went nuclear. Much love, KernelHotLook." Can you believe this guy? We're out here. If you're watching this show, I'm just going to work under the assumption that you're, grinding your cock to a nub, as they like to say, trying to get every micro edge on this site, trying to eke out a tournament win, trying to bank. And this guy, Colton, just waltzes in. "Oh, this looks interesting. Let me try to dabble in it. Oh, you, sir, have a 3-max contest on Underdog?" I don't know why I'm pretending like he's some high-flouting British character. Let me try that. Let me try that. My first time, and I win. Congratulations, KernelHotLook. There is the Justin Herbert 28.7 draft board says I just flipped my desk. My goodness. Has Kyron, Ashton Genty, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Brock Bowers. So naked Herbert, that was certainly the play. Plays a Genty and Brock Bowers block. Plays the Kyron and Puka block. I love it. The double teammate correlation and then the one-off Drake London. Incredible stuff. KernelHotLook, if you're watching, incredible stuff. Just waltzes into the draft games, first place, 1K, 100 X's their buy-in. Awesome stuff there for KernelHotLook. We got Buddy Man. Buddy Man comes in second. Here's another new quarterback. I haven't even mentioned him yet. Joe Flacco drops 32.7 points at 9% ownership. I thought Joe Flacco was an interesting decision point in Underdog or on Underdog this week. I ended up waiting to draft any Joe Flacco teams until Sunday morning. I was like, there's just too much uncertainty on this right now. And I was really light on Chase early in the week because I thought there's just this huge trickle-down effect. If Joe Flacco, 1, doesn't play, obviously, or 2, is limited, the entire thesis of the Flacco and Chase stuff is those two fully healthy and their mind meld connection there. I did end up, getting my 10 to 15 Flacco teams in the big BR, but I had way too much roam with it. I was playing it way more as a game stack. Even the Flacco to Chase stuff wasn't there. I think I pulled up that Flacco to Higgins with a Rome bring back. So just couldn't get the right combinations there with the Chase and Rome landmines. But nice lineup here from Buddy Man. Gets the Flacco and does the premium double. Really nice contest to do the premium double. And then you bring it back with Manungai. This is just a really clean, simple build. Flacco to Chase Higgins, Manungai bring back, play Kyron. And of course, you got to have Brock Bowers there at 37.3 points. Congratulations to Buddy Man. Let's see here. Icy FFB here finishes in third place for 500, has that same build almost as the first place team or one of the teams we looked at in the BR with the Josh Allen, CMC, James Cook, and also survives the 7 points from Brian Thomas. But again, small contest, only how many entries in here? 1,100. Yeah, 1,104 entries. Josh Allen, James Cook and Brian Thomas combined for 20 points, and you still ship because you have 34.3 from Drake London, you have 37.3 from Bowers, and 28.82 from Josh Allen. Going to be General Hot Luck next weekend. Zach is saying I'm a close friend of his, and he was very happy yesterday to say the least. He plays a lot of the contests, but just this one for the first time? No. I mean, well, Zach, I don't know if you're calling your friend a liar, but I will read the message again. Just wanted to say that I tried my first 6-person, 6-round draft. The BR's 98% of the contests on the site are 6-person, 6-round draft. So I'm going to have to figure out, is Colton lying or are you lying, Zach? Because the comment says it was their first 6-person draft ever. So someone needs to get their story straight here. Yes, one of you is a liar. Place your bets. It is a much better story. Maybe I just got bamboozled by this comment. I really hope Colton isn't a liar, because otherwise I take back everything nice I said. I take back everything nice I said. Maybe Zach is confusing like season-long best ball with the 6-mans, which is still very impressive. Drafting 18-round puppy teams is very, very different than playing these 6-person contests. All right. Congratulations to Colton. There you go. Puppies. All right. All right, Zach. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Let's see. I do want to look at, speaking of the 12-person drafts here, let's check in on our Dawg Bowl qualifiers. I put a handful of entries in, 6 entries, did not have a sweat yesterday, but some familiar faces as usual here in the Dawg Bowl. Shout out to Krutches, had the bad beat last weekend on, what was it? Yeah, the final RJ Harvey touchdown, I believe, knocked him out. He comes back again this week. I believe maxed the contest, 150 bullets. Where's the guy in the chat to let us know that if he had 150 DB entries, he would have won too? Takes it down. Caleb Williams, Christian McCaffrey, swaps early week Isaiah Pacheco to Trevion Henderson, Drake London, Rashid Shaheed, Brock Bowers. So Drake London, Brock Bowers, CMC, and then Caleb, 4 players over 31 points. Nuke slate here from Krutches there. You can survive the 10 from Hendo. You can survive the 9.3 from Shaheed if you get 4 30-plus point scorers. Then we got our guy Gunnar Ross, who coming in here with the gifted memberships, has the Flacco to T. Higgins. T. Higgins, of course, 100% drafted in these 12s, but Flacco, only 44.47%. So that does go to show you the lingering skepticism about the Joe Flacco health throughout the week. If he wasn't even close to 50% drafted, I mean, he was close to 50%, but not close to 100% drafted in these 12s. He goes 32.7 points. And then also has Rico, again, a guy who's not drafted in the 12s, or sorry, in the 6s, who gets drafted at a near 100% clip in the 12-mans there, survives the 1.6 points from DK Metcalf. But again, you get 37 from Brock, 29 from Higgins, 27 from Rico, 31 for CMC, 32 from Flacco. You can survive a 1.6 point dud. And then Awen, man, every single week, this guy, I think it was last week, he won a seat with a 6 points from Alvin Kamara. This week, he wins with 7 points from Brian Thomas. It's a Jackson Dart CMC correlation. You get Rico in here. Obviously, BTJ, T. Higgins, and Brock Bowers here. So you get the Brian Thomas, Brock Bowers correlation, the Dart in CMC correlation, and then one off Rico, one off T. Higgins. GG's to our 3 latest qualifiers, Krutches, Gunner, and Awen. How the heck are these guys so good? Fatty McFats, they play 150 lineups. You'd win too if you had 150. No, they are very good. They are Krutches is drafting early in the week. If you guys want to see more from Krutches was on the Bash on Thursday. Hopped on. We actually drafted a Dawg Bowl team and talked through a lot of his strategy. And one of the things Krutches mentioned on that show was he was really prioritizing the elite tight ends in round 2 this week in the 12-mans because he really liked the 6th round wide receivers. And when you have such a familiarity with the slate and the pockets of value on the draft board, it can allow you to stack up a bunch of optimally made teams. That's what Krutches did here. Obviously gets to Brock Bowers on this one, gets the right combos, and takes it home. And the other thing you'll notice from Krutches teams, the team we drafted on stream, and even this one, not a ton of correlation here. I mean, the one piece of correlation is the Trevion Henderson and Drake London mini correlation. And this was just a swap. I mean, Krutches was going to jam the best projected running back in this swap. The correlation is more incidental here for him. I would guess he would say similarly. And it's just jamming as much projected points as you can across 150 lineups there. And that's what he was able to do here. Yep, Chad and Gunner talking about this as well. Listening to Krutches talk about VORP on that show too. It's key to adjust it based on how the builds are happening. If you guys aren't familiar with that term, value over replacement player. And the onesies are really tricky in the Dawg Bowl, specifically the quarterback stuff. Early quarterback can be really hard to get to, but the early tight ends, if they have the profile of being able to separate, and this is the conversation we had all season long and the conversation we always have about elite tight ends, is you're asking yourself, can they separate? And I think Brock Bowers answered that question yesterday. Gunner as well, his strat on the Bash was exactly how I drafted all week. So make sure you guys are checking out the Bash. I mean, the Bash, it's so fun. I feel like, I don't say this about a lot of shows. I feel like it should be getting more views. Not only do we get to be introduced to more people from around the community, it's like a fun portal into how other people are drafting. Every week, like I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking about this angle, or, oh, that's an interesting take on the slate. And so we get a smattering of that, and then we'll get, super sharp players like Krutches. Easy's been on before, guys who are really in the weeds on this stuff, who will just voluntarily share stuff they're thinking about on the slate. So tune into the Bash. Really fun show every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you're a YouTube member, you can participate. You drop the hashtag in the chat. I spin a wheel and we draft some BRs. We draft some Dawg Bowls, get to meet a bunch of people, and really good time. And the odds have been good to get on stream. I mean, we've had somewhere around 20 entries each week, and I generally do 4 to 5 guests. So you have about a 20% chance to get on stream there. And if you received one of the YouTube memberships for Gunner, you are now eligible for the chat and entering your name into those weekly Bash drafts. All right, let me pour some more coffee here. And is there anything else we need to discuss on Underdog? Is there anything I'm forgetting? Let me know here. Otherwise, we can take a peek at a few other things. Yeah, we'll definitely do, I should say, we're going to do best ball stuff for sure and Eliminator, but I'm thinking dailies. I think we've covered most of the stuff we generally do for the dailies. Chris says my 8th place Bowers teams are screaming up to 5th place. Emo loves the Bash. Yes, always available on playback. I also, I drop them on the audio feed as well. So if you guys can't watch the YouTube stuff, every show that I do on this channel other than Lulz, which goes on its own separate feed, all of the other shows go on the In a Vacuum podcast feed. So I prefer if you guys watch on YouTube. I think it's slightly more beneficial for me, but I truly don't care. Ultimately, just listen to the shows, but go to the In a Vacuum podcast feed. Take the shows on the go with you. The Bash is uploaded there as well. I think that hits the podcast feed generally on Friday mornings. But yeah, Chunk the Deuce, has anyone cashed on there yet? No, I'm waiting for the day where on like Sunday, like someone reminds me, oh, hey, didn't we draft like this combo of players? Like someone says, didn't I pick Drake London, Brock Bowers, and CMC on a team? How's that lineup doing? And then I remember and I go look for it, and then we have a sweat. That moment has not happened yet. But I am hoping that we can get a Bash sweat. And this is what I'll say right now too. If we can get a real sweat from a Bash lineup, I will pull you up onto the ShipCast as well to sweat the end of it there. So you can get a double whammy. You hop on stream here. We draft a team. If it's good enough to actually have a legit sweat, then you hop on the ShipCast and we can have the underdog daily story of the year, a Bash lineup taking it down. That's what we need to do here. Chad says, finding about the feed was game-changing for me. I almost never miss one now. 1.75x with all the content is necessary. I feel like I talk kind of fast as is. I actually try to slow myself down. Like right now, I'm even feeling, I'm like, man, I'm gassed. But I must sound super fast down 1.75. I'm generally myself about a 1.5x, bro, is where I'm at. Occasionally, I might rip it in at a 1.75 if I'm really trying to catch up on something. But I will try to slow myself down. It does feel good when I just kind of finally relax for 1 second. All right, let's talk some best ball here. Let's first look at eliminators. Let's first look at eliminator here, because this is where things are heating up. So I had two teams in the flagship eliminator contest, one in the big eliminator, and I am going to advance one of two here. The only disappointing thing about this for me, and let me actually go over to BBMDB so we can look at the lineup side by side, is the team that I think is the better team and more well-positioned to go on a run is the one getting bounced. But that's just how it goes. You know, beggars cannot be choosers here. But a little unfortunate to me. I guess I'm not out of the woods tonight. I am winning by a decent chunk. But this drafter has Marvin Harrison and Jake Ferguson going tonight. So I am not out of the woods, because the Cowboys, I don't know if anyone's heard, are famously awful against opposing passing games. So not out of the woods yet. I need to fade, 24, 34, like about 25 points from Marvin Harrison, which is a little scary, and could be even less than that if Jake Ferguson scores more than 7.2 and starts hitting the lineup too. So not out of the woods, but this is the team favored to win. It's a Goff, McCarthy, Daniel Jones. That'll play. It's a CMC, Chase Brown, James Cook. James Conner's done for. So it's just a trio here. CMC, Chase Brown, James Cook. Not ideal only having three there. But yeah, and then CMC what? CMC has that week 14 bye. I guess that would be a very good problem for me to deal with. The week 14 bye from CMC. The wide receivers on this one, Garrett Wilson, Jawan Jennings, Michael Pittman, Cooper Kupp didn't play last night. Luther Burden didn't play. Romeo Doubs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Lane. I just do not like this wide receiver room. And then it has Laporta, Chig, and Jatavian Sanders. So I don't know, man. I'm not going to complain. I know there's lots of people who would love to have a team through. So I'm not going to complain. I just wish it was this other team that ran into the CMC juggernaut. And so the team I thought was more of a wagon here is a Fields, McCarthy, Stroud, Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Jerome Ford, Miles Sanders. So no Breece Hall this week, and Jonathan Taylor duds. It has JSN, Pickens, Flowers, Debo, Shakir, and then Kyle Williams, Jalen Knoll. And then the tight ends are a little stronger. Njoku, Theo Johnson, Pat Freiermuth. But I was going against CMC, and I was blocked by Jonathan Taylor, and I just needed Achane to hang with CMC to have a chance, and he got outpaced by almost 20 points. So the dream was going to die there. This team didn't even put up a ton against me as far as wide receiver points. They had Tet, who didn't even hit their lineup, Hunter, who didn't play, Godwin didn't play, just Shaheed, Dobbs, and QJ. I guess that QJ touchdown was fairly impactful there. And then they get 18.7 from Laporta as well. So strong team here from Alpha University. I'm bummed not to get this one through, but we'll see if we can run pure with this last remaining bullet, provided it squeaks through tonight. Man, I somehow had to fade Loveland and Lim, need 35 from Javante tonight. That's sick stuff, man. Going against Loveland in an Elim. The other good news, my Big Elim team is doing pretty good. It should advance this week. I like this team. Every week I think I've pulled this one up, and I always laugh when I look at my running back room. But lo and behold, I've been laughing. Last week I laughed about Tank Bigsby. He hits the lineup in garbage time. Or was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. But then Kyle Monungai. I'm like, why do I have Kyle Monungai on a Big Elim team? And then he shows out for 21.3 points. There, really saving my ass because Gibbs doesn't even hit my lineup. Aaron Jones comes back, scores 10.8. Ramondre doesn't play. So yeah, getting by with a Monungai, Aaron Jones duo. I get 28 from Herbert. The rest of this quarterback room is Herbert, Bryce Young, Stafford. And then the wide receivers, Ladd, 7.6 points. Ted Arroyo, 6.6. George Pickens goes tonight. Jawan Jennings, 12.1. Addison, 7.4. Coker, Hopkins. And then I do have Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid going. So I like this Big Elim team. It feels just balanced, just healthy enough, I think, about everywhere other than running back. I think what I really need is Monungai to kind of just fully take over this backfield. Which probably won't happen when Swift is back, but I guess I can hope because the running back stuff's fairly fragile and Aaron Jones emerges from that game a little banged up. But I do like this team, specifically the quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end room. So we should be advancing here to week 10 through the Big Elim. How much do you to get through Big Elim? Let's see. The prizes start. When do the prizes start? It's always tricky with the Big Elims. I have the sheet for prizes on the main Elim because I made that video on the Deposit Kingdom channel. Maybe someone in the chat knows. It looks like I'm getting. How much am I getting this week? 250. So if we reverse engineer this, 250 is, so we're down to 138. So then the next jumps are going to be like 500 and then 1100. So I have to make it 2 more weeks to get to the 1100 payout, I think, if I'm reading that correctly. But yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. I love the Eliminator stuff. To have a Big Elim and another Elim still alive is fun here. And the cool thing, it's so hard to even get to like the week 13, week 14 stage of the Elim, but theoretically, conceptually, I love the idea of like having these 6 sweats in this week 9 through week 13 range. And then boom, you hit week 14. You're probably saying bye to your Elim teams other than the Sun Runners who get ones through. And then bam, we're to season-long best ball sweats. That's pretty fun. Let's go ahead, though, and look at some of the season-long stuff. We can first do overall portfolio here. As always, I'm on bbmdb.com / shout out to Patrick Donovan for his great work on this. Looks like I'm right around expected on the portfolio, advancing 70 of 384 teams. My BBM advance rate heading into Monday Night Football is right around average 16.7%. Otherwise, it looks like I am in the 20% range for most of these other side contests. But let's go ahead and look at BBM specifically. Here is my number one team remains the Best Ball Bash team. Not the greatest week for it in that Gibbs disappoints, Jonathan Taylor disappoints, Breece Hall on bye. Brashard Smith and Woody Marks don't do much. So it was going to be a rough week for our running back room. JSN continues to ball out. Sutton scores that touchdown yesterday. Did Debo do anything on Monday Night Football? I went to bed at halftime of that game. I saw Darnold was crushing, but I don't even know what the Commanders did. They do anything in the passing game? Let's see here. Debo 5 for 41. Zach Ertz 4 for 46. Man, what an absolute boat race by the Seahawks there. But yeah, this team still feels rock solid. It remains healthy, which I think is probably the most important thing right now of anything, is just the health of these teams. This second place team is also the team we looked at last week, which is, or not second place, my second best team that I drafted with Leone. This is the Barkley, Taylor Hall, and Brian Robinson. Nice to see Brian Robinson getting a touchdown there. I think the first time he's probably hitting lineups this year. JSN, JMO, Chris Olave, Jawan Jennings, Josh Downs, Hollywood Brown, Troy Franklin, QJ. The back end of this wide receiver room is just really strong with Franklin coming along. I mean, Franklin's essentially a 1A, 1B with Sutton at this point, just from a target share perspective. So that's been cool. And then QJ gets back in the box there. Henry, Ertz, Fannin, the tight ends. What else do we want to look at? Do we want to see the Bowers stuff? Like I said, I think heading into yesterday, I was 0 of 20 Bowers teams, and now we're at 2 of 20. 2 of 20 here, so we can see my best Bowers team is a Mahomes, Caleb Williams. It has CMC, Harvey, Judkins, Sampson, Spears, Rashad White, DJ Giddens. This is kind of a good running back room. If we can get Harvey really starting to come on here, CMC, Harvey, Judkins, Spears, Rashad White. Obviously, Giddens is a 0, but I think you could survive that. The wide receivers are Wilson, Worthy, Diggs, Downs, Burden, Douglas, Franklin. And then it does obviously have Bowers, Fannin. You wish you had a one difference maker at wide receiver there, but the quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, very solid there. What does this far right percentage on the column mean? So yeah, this is a new column that Patrick added recently. It's expected advance rate. So I assume he's using some season-long projection. I don't know if where he gets it from. Maybe Mike Clay, I believe, does season-long projections. But yeah, then he's probably running it through some kind of sim there to get your expected advance rate there. And it's kind of a fun thing to scroll down because obviously some of these Bowers teams, or most of these Bowers teams, are dead. But I guess you can look at one that says 14% and say, does it have any hope of getting through? But you can do it for the whole portfolio as well. And you can kind of scroll down and find some of your worst teams that still have a chance. Like I have this team down here that all the other teams are like sub 10% chance to advance. And this team, he gives a 55% chance to advance. And you can see why, because it has some of these low advance rate players really coming on. So on this team, is this the right team that I'm looking at here? Let's see. There was one of these I had looked at before that had Rashee Rice and Addison on it. That's not this one. This one has Kyler, JJ McCarthy, JT, Montgomery, Mason, Sharps, Trey Benson, Justin Jefferson, Flowers, Waddle, Golden, Shaheed, Michael Wilson, Yoshi Voss, Ty Felton. Some of these teams you just look at and you're like, Matthew Golden, shaping up to be a bust. Michael Wilson, virtual 0. Yoshi Voss, virtual 0. Ty Felton, 0. It's just like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Here's the team that I thought looked fun as far as being on the outside looking in. It's a 5th place team with a 62% chance to advance. It's a Hurts-Darnold team. It has JSN on it. It has Barkley, Pollard's a bust, ETN, Jaden Blue, but it has Bill on it. So basically asking a lot of Barkley, ETN, and Bill, but Hurts-Darnold, and then it has AJ Brown and JSN, has Rashee Rice, Addison, Jaden Reed, rest in peace, Christian Kirk, Tesla, and then Kelsey, Otten, and Fannin. So you can see how some of these teams with Rice and Addison can come back and really supercharge a team. Wow. This seems harsh. It's a shame that Gibbs is a worse version of Javid Best at this point. Are we just memory wiping what he did on Monday Night Football against the Bucks a couple of weeks ago? Do I need to pull this up for you, Gary? I mean, you guys are so cruel about players having one down game. We are 1 week removed from this man going 17 for 136 and 2, including like an 80-yard TD run that there's maybe like 3 players in the league who can run to daylight without getting chased down. You guys are so spoiled. He adds another 3 for 82 in the passing game and then has one down game. And we're ready to call him Javan Best. You guys are sick. You guys are sick. Joseph says, 300 watching on a Monday morning. This definitely going to pop off. No, it definitely isn't going to pop off. I will say it's kind of the sad point in the year. Like the views, not so much on this show, because I think you have to be kind of a in the weeds sicko to be watching this show, but a lot more casual people will watch like the Block Party Bully the Sims. And this was the biggest dip in views. I think we're getting to week 9. And people are either out of money to play contests or they're just completely checked out. We are now closer to people not playing than we are to the enthusiasm of week 1, which is, it's a bummer, but we're not going anywhere. Like I said, I got my pickaxe. We're going to be in those BR mines until the bitter end, whacking away, trying to find that bank. Yeah, we haven't even talked about this here. And real quick, Patrick weighing in says it's mostly just a measurement of how competitive the specific lobby is. So there you go. Some context from PD. We didn't talk about the Tucker Craft stuff. Man, brutal. He was an absolute smash. I did not have enough Tucker Craft. That was a leak in my game. Let's see how many shares I had. Yeah, I only had 6 shares. So I kind of come unscathed from that. But like when you have, what was Tucker Craft's advance rate heading into yesterday? It had to have been massive. Yeah, 24.5%. Just a brutal loss there. You see how many top teams in the contest, 4th, 8th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 19th, 25, 29. Like Tucker Craft was a legit skeleton key this year as far as supercharging teams with Taylor, with Puka, some of these early round hits, and then getting Tucker Craft in the double-digit rounds. Brutal stuff. Was having an awesome year. The only reliable option in that pass catching room for the Packers, and then to lose him is some pretty gross stuff. Let's see. Who else had big? I don't even know how much London I have. I don't think I have a ton of Drake London in BBM. Well, I'm looking for everybody. His advance rate was only 14% even after yesterday. Yeah, I only have 12 London teams as well. 12 London teams, only one of them advancing. Who else was a big nuke yesterday? What is Rome's advance rate down to? Only 7 Rome shares here. So I'm at 14.3%. What is the field at with Rome? 21.5%. That's kind of shocking. Is it just because so many Rome teams have Caleb? That's kind of a high advance rate for Rome. I guess he did have what? What has he had? Has he had 2 spikes? 1 or 2 spikes? Oh, yeah. T. Higgins is a good one to look at, but he was pricey, man. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, 18.1%. Not too surprising that his advance rate is kind of lagging behind. Caleb's is kind of an interesting one just because he's had now 2 of these big spikes against Dallas and the Bengals, 21.7% here. Daniels, yeah, that one's been tough. What's the latest on his injury? Do we have any reports on that? Is he expected to miss some time? The Twitter search is just completely borked these days. I just can never. It used to be I could find like the top news accounts right away talking about stuff, and now it's just all filth. Jaden Daniels, who left Sunday's loss with his left arm immobilized, suffered a dislocated elbow and will have an MRI to determine how long he's out. Sources say the belief it's not as bad as it could have been, but Daniels will miss several games. Ugh. That's disgusting. That's so disappointing. Man, he was such a revelation last year, man. Him and Brock Bowers, and it was just like, let's just run it back. I know Jaden Daniels and Brock Bowers were cheap last year, but just run it back. These two are so good, and then to have both of their seasons mostly derailed by injury is really, really a punch in the dick. AJ says Musgrave got rolled in pretty seamlessly. I'm having a hard time mustering similar enthusiasm for Luke Musgrave, but let me see just from a usage standpoint. I got to fact check you, AJ. I got to fact check you here. Let me head over to the utilization report. Also, let me make sure this might be. So it says technically this offer is expired. You can try it and see if it still works. But to get the free Fantasy Life Plus, go to fantasylife.com/comment. All you do is download the comment browser. You get Fantasy Life Plus for the entire year for free. So very good offer. Like I said, it technically says 0, but the splash page is still up. So you might be able to sneak it through if you missed the boat on that. All right, let's go look at the Packers. What quarter did Tucker Kraft leave? Do we know that split? Can the chat help me out with that one? Yeah, because Luke Musgrave, 50% snap rate. And again, I assume it was all after Tucker Kraft, 15% targets per route run, 9% of the targets. So yeah, we'll need to get a full game sample from him to see it. I mean, he was an interesting prospect. He flashed a little bit as a rookie. Like, we were fairly excited about Musgrave until Tucker Kraft. There you go. Tucker Kraft rolled around. But yeah, I mean, for the season long bros, Luke Musgrave going to be a pretty good tight end ad. Probably like a notch below a Michael Mayer as far as like a prospect and what he can step into with a full opportunity share, but still pretty intriguing just considering how much the Packers like to build their offense around the tight end. Yeah, I am not one of those people who seeks out the injury, so I will take your guys' word for it on the Jaden Daniels injury. Yeah, Christian Watson, that's a good one here. We can tab over to the wide receivers while we're on the Packers utilization. But he's just completely eaten Matthew Golden's lunch. Comes back week 8, 65% of the routes, which was already a pretty impressive role, just walking in cold, basically. And then is up to 75% in week 9. He probably caps out around there just as much as the Packers rotate. But really nice downfield roll, 36% of the team's air yards, 28.3 ADOT. He's going to be kind of tricky for obviously season long. But I think he'll have some DFS appeal if he stays in like the low 4Ks on DraftKings, just being able to get that spike week from him. Just like on the fringe of being a guy that we can play. But I guess if these routes tick up a little bit more, that could be interesting. But man, this Matthew Golden stuff is rough. Look at this. He's 82% the week before Watson comes back. Then Golden drops down to 76% in week 8 and then down to 38%. That's sad, man. I mean, for all of the coach speak, all of the chatter about Matthew Golden being this team's wide receiver 1, and why do you not believe it? I mean, they draft this guy in the first round in the ambiguous wide receiver room. And then for him to like essentially be phased out of the offense because one of your other wide receivers coming back from injury immediately steps into the offense. I don't know, man. Either the Packers offense needs a better plan for him or he's just not good and the coaching staff doesn't trust him. All right. The chat is letting me know he left the game injured, which is good context, but still pretty wild to see his snap share drop down like that. And he's been hovering as a part-time player. You can see his utilization scores here. He peaked in week 4. He comes back after the bye and has a 58 utilization score, but then 42 and 28. So even pre-injury, he's being like phased out of the offense, which is just not fun considering where we were drafting this guy. And this was also with Dontavian Wicks not playing. Like when Dontavian Wicks comes back, that's another guy who's going to earn some snaps. This is a good question. What is Watson's ownership percentage? He is on 2,300 teams. 2,300 teams. 394 of those are advancing. So pretty low. So 2,300 versus like what's a 100% owned? 2,300 versus 56,000 there. So yeah, under 1%. Yeah, I hear you guys on the Golden getting banged up, but I don't think it's happening. Like his stuff was going down before the injury, and Watson coming back, no Wicks. Sure, could he be a guy that spikes in the fantasy playoffs? I absolutely hope so, but I think there's like basically zero breakout appeal at this point. The team has kind of told us how they view him. Yeah, not to mention this. They're saying Reed is progressing and could have his practice window open soon. So what a mess. What an absolute mess. All right. Anything else we want to look at in the best ball sweats? This is actually a good one too. Dowdle on a bunch of teams. How much Dowdle do I have? Probably not a lot. Certainly not enough. Yeah, only 4 teams. Only 4 teams, and you can tell all of them are in the hunt here. 2 second-place teams, 2 third-place teams. Rico, just an absolute smash there. This one, he's with Bryce Young. Is he on? He's probably with Bryce Young. Okay, he's not on Bryce Young on this one. That's good to know. That's good to know. Here's another one with Bryce Young. All right, so he's on two of my 4 teams. He's with Bryce Young. Man, some of these, like you scroll through some of these teams and it's like, remember a name. It's like, oh yeah, remember Anthony Richardson? Remember Najee Harris? Like some of these guys who were in our lives in August, it feels truly ages ago that they were fantasy relevant. Marvin Mims, healthy scratch yesterday. Did you guys see that one? Yikes. Yikes. Speaking of that, I did just want to double check the Broncos wide receiver usage yesterday with no Marvin Mims. So Sutton, Sutton after week 7 has been his UR score 66, 62, still running the majority of the routes, but his target share 22%, 18%, like that's fine, but that's not like alpha wide receiver status. And then you look at Troy Franklin, 91 and 66. I mean, if you just filter for like the past 3 weeks, and if you want to say this is more indicative of where we're headed, I mean, Troy Franklin, 26% target share to Cortland Sutton, 20% over that span. UR score of 77 to a UR score of 70. Pretty crazy. Both of them fairly big ADOTs getting used down the field. But Troy Franklin commanding targets. Yeah, you want to see on the Pat Bryant in this. Yeah, I mean, his routes have gone up 45, 53, 62. Targets still nothing super impressive, but they're starting to get him worked in. I could see Pat Bryant making some noise in the fantasy playoffs for sure. All right. Oh yeah, someone was asking my high stakes how my high stakes teams are doing. Let's see here. I don't think the big dog teams are doing good. The big dog teams won with Dave. We drafted that on After Dark. That's in 11th place. Look at that. Mr. Chess Liam is in first. And then Charlie and I, we've been trying to climb our way back in this one. We're in 7th place with 996 points. And we need to close about 120 point gap. Let's see if this team has any life. It's Hurts and Nix, Achan, Harvey, Montgomery, Tootin, Blue, Benson. So yeah, it's just been asking a lot of Achan on this team. Nico, JSN, Golden, Higgins, Dante Thornton, Coker, Franklin. So Franklin's been doing his job. And then Ingram, Jatavian Sanders, Kate Otten. I don't know if this one has enough firepower to charge the leaderboard. So we'll leave a candle on, but it's a pretty small candle. Dalmatian, I'm doing good. 2 of my 3 entries are advancing and in first place. Let's see if any of these are wagons. A Dak, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, a JT, Jalen Warren, Judkins, Braylon Allen, Sanders, Woody Marks. So the Jonathan Taylor, Warren, Judkins trio. Jamar Chase, Pickens, Devonta Smith, Debo, Diggs, Dobbs, Noel, and then Trey McBride. And of course, there it is, Tucker Kraft. So hopefully Trey McBride can put the squad on his back there. This other Dalmatian team also in first place is a Hertz Prescott. It has Gibbs, Mason, Scatabo, rest in peace, Ramondre Stevenson, Dylan Sampson, Shipley. Man, Scatabo, this team can probably survive because it's doing pretty well elsewhere. But man, losing Scatabo hurts. Ladd, Garrett Wilson, and Hunter. Man, this team probably actually can't survive. No Scatabo, no Hunter. Diggs, Wandale Robinson, QJ, Jack Besh, Troy Franklin. It is a Laporta Ferguson, which is in a bad tight end room. I've been doing decent in the Chow Chow. What do I have? 3 of 15 entries, and a couple others that are close. What's my best team in here? 1175. I'm just fearful that all of these are going to have Scatabo on it. Lamar, Dak Prescott, JT, Dobbins, Blue, Rashad White. There's an Eckler, Lamb, Pickens, Flowers, Addison, Golden, Wolf, Romeo Dobbs, Franklin, Hopkins, Andrews, Ferguson, likely. All right. I think that's enough of the best ball sweats. Let's check in on some guillotine leagues. I'm famously bounced from the ship chasing and deposit kingdom leagues, but it is my duty to report on these. Let's see how we're looking. First, we'll check in on the deposit kingdom league. Let's see here who is on the chopping block. Kitchen's Tree, and I don't know who exactly this user is, but they got duds from JT. Oh man, this is going to be a team that is going to get picked over on the waiver wire with Bijan and JT here. 2.6 from Metcalf, 3 from Kamani Vidal. Man, this is a good team. This is a good team that just had a piss poor week here. Let's see. Do they have any? They have any chance tonight? No PMR. So Kitchen's Tree is going to lose it. Look at this, producer Mark going to get by. They're barely 99.2 points. There you survive. Let's see here. Chopkins in first place this week. It obviously resets each week, so it doesn't really matter. But the big scores, the London still has CD to go, 23 from Adams, 27 from Herbert. He's been my quarterback in one of my other live guillotine leagues and has been a very nice selection this year. Let's see, ship chasing. I think, do I have one more coffee pouring me? It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Let's finish this. Actually, I don't even know. I'm going to take, this is how desperate I am for one more coffee pour. We're going to take the lid off, which has historically been pretty dangerous. All right, we were fairly careful. Got the last drip of coffee out here. Let's see how the ship chasing guillotine league is doing. No, sorry, this was the ship. No, it needs to refresh here. Something's bugging out here because that is the deposit kingdom. Here we go. Here's the ship chasing. Oh no. Are we going to lose Steph? No, Steph is, man, this is going to be close. So Steph's at 97 points. She's projected for 110.06. And the Chop Demon, who has no more PMR, is at 111.3. So let's see what she needs tonight. She took the 0 from Rome, so she has Marv. I cannot think of a wide receiver other than Roma Dunze who I would want to be relying on to get me. How many points is it? Oh, man. Yeah, that is a brutal sweat. You need 13 points, 14 points from Marvin Harrison. That sounds like a brutal sweat tonight. So good luck to Steph here. We'll see how you do. We shall see how you do, Steph. Who's crushing in the ship chasing chop here? fully loaded, man. This guy fully loaded. I believe it was, I think the Badge Bros told me he took down a hoop slate and a primetime Palooza slate on Thursday night. This guy, he's just too good. Some might say he's fully loaded here. Has the Stafford, CMC, Tracy Higgins, DJ Moore, Kincaid, Henry Kamara. This is how you know you're good. Like Higgins is a super volatile guillotine play. DJ Moore, super volatile guillotine play. And you just, show up and get 55 points from these guys. Easy game. I'll quickly check in on my two teams that are live. This is the Hollywood Guillotine League that how I refer to it. And I believe I'm doing solid in both of these. Yeah, well above the cut line, 139. This team, this was my smartest guillotine move of the year. I stashed Brock Bowers like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right when he had gotten hurt and they were going to hold him out finally. No one wanted to sit on him. And I think I bid like 50 or $60 for this moment just to have the supercharged tight end room. And now I think I have a decent amount of money to go out and get another difference maker down the stretch. But this was a Herbert, ETN, Gibbs, Keenan, Dobbs, Bowers, Hendo, Zay Flowers, have Breece Hall on bye this week. So it's kind of a balanced team that doesn't have too many superstars. I've been kind of getting by with the high floor guys like the Flowers, the Dobbs. But now that I have Bowers cooking and Herbert's been such a fixture, I'm going to go out and try to get a stud wide receiver for this team because that's really what I'm missing. So hopefully a Puka JSN type will come available. Let's see if that is the case here. Yeah, here's a Chase Jefferson team that's going to get axed. So I will be in the market for Chase and Jefferson. And then this is the Fantasy Life Internal Office League here. This team, I went out and I bid on Puka. I went out and I got Puka this week. Looks like I'm not doing super hot here, but this team has a lot of studs on it. Jones, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook heading into it. And I'm like, I'm just going to go for the kill shot here because Jones and Taylor have been such a potent combo. I'm like, I'm going to just go out and get Puka. So I went and got Puka on this one. Olave, Ertz, Tedoroya, Henderson. I've been sitting on Bucky. Goddard's been the tight end I've mostly been playing and then kind of cycling through some Bill, some Troy Franklin here. But feel good about the Jonathan Taylor Puka combo down the stretch. Let's see. I normally forget to check in on some of our FFPC teams. I can show you guys some of those here. Man, the 5K league, we just continue to suffer brutal losses. So we lost Scatabo on this team. He was the heart and soul of this team as our RB2. Yesterday, we lose 134.1 to 136.2. We get 0.7 from Brashard Smith, 6 from Xavier Worthy. And we had a start-sit decision between Singletary and Brashard Smith and went the wrong way there. Figured we'd rip it in on the Chiefs. Obviously, you get Pacheco out. You think, hey, maybe Brashard Smith. This guy, Davis Maddock, always tells us he catches a few passes. Not the case. So another heartbreaking loss for this team. There are some of our teams are absolutely cooking, though, specifically our teams with Sean and Gretsch. This is our team with Gretsch, man, and it's super fun. We get Brock Bowers back. So we already have this team with Jonathan Taylor and Drake May, Devontae Adams. We get Bowers back. Addison's been cooking. Our start-sit decision yesterday was Downs or Franklin. We go Downs. This team has Harvey and Tootin on the bench, Franklin on the bench, the trio of rookie wide receivers, Harold Fannin. But man, this is one of my favorite teams in our portfolio just because of the Jonathan Taylor, Brock Bowers pairing here. This team actually might hunt us down tonight because they have Trey McBride, Harrison, and Javonte. So maybe I'm speaking too soon here. Projected score 146, but we have a pretty big cushion. We shall see, though, about a 60-point cushion here. But I guess in tight end premium, never out of the woods when you're going against one of those top guys. Our team with Sean stays in the mix as well. Drake May, Jalen Warren, Achane, CeeDee Lamb, JSN. The CeeDee Lamb, JSN pairing, Gadsden and Laporta. Really nice team. Also has RJ Harvey. Really, really could use RJ Harvey becoming a reliable starter down the stretch. Our team with Steph crushed yesterday, 183 points here. This Steph team has Rico Dowdle and Bowers and London. Look at that. 49 Bowers, tight end premium points, 38 Drake London, 28 Rico Dowdle. Of course, Drake May. Get the spot start from Hendo. A 0 burger from Rome, and it doesn't even matter because Bowers was eating for 2 yesterday. Bench Caleb. Caleb at 41.5 compared to Drake May there. The other team that is super fun right now is this. This is the team we drafted with the stat chasing guys. And this is the team that you just absolutely want to sneak in because it has Omarion Hampton, Bucky Irving, and Bowers. So those guys have been zeros for weeks, and we've been eking out wins on this team. So you come back and you get Drake May. The running backs are just hanging by a thread with Hampton and Bucky out, but you get the 49 from Bowers. Franklin, we have Pickens going tonight. He's obviously put up some week winning scores. Here's another team where we played Drake May over Caleb. Could have used some of those Caleb points, but man, if this team can get Bucky and Omarion Hampton back to pair with Brock Bowers and Pickens, you start to get excited about that one as well. So yeah, the ship chasing portfolio, decent amount of green yesterday. It looks like we have a couple teams that are just going to get the 2 teams we're losing this week are the worst teams. Unfortunately, the slaptastic ADP chasing team, that's in 11th place and losing. Wolf Parade, our team with Ron Stewart, also losing. So we're probably going to say goodbye to those ones and then hope some of these other teams can charge. All right. Let's go ahead and do a little Monday Night Football stuff here. I got about 20 more minutes here, and then I have to run. Let's see here. Yeah, let's quickly do our usual primetime Palooza draft. I need help from you guys on the pick 'em. I have 2 picks that I like. I actually did some research for tonight. Do we have Josh in the chat? Josh, I think, is like 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 on these Monday Night Football pick 'em calls because I have 2. I have 2 that I really want to play tonight, and if we can get a third from the chat, I think we can keep this pick 'em heater from the ShipCast rolling. All right, Josh, do you have one for us today? Sit on it for a second, and we'll talk through this primetime Palooza slate real quick, and then build a Monday Night Football pick 'em. So we have Dallas, Arizona tonight, obviously, and then Denver, Las Vegas on Thursday. Pretty interesting that the first 5 picks are all from this Dallas, Arizona game. But Brock Bowers, man. Brock Bowers at 10.3 here. Whew. I don't know about that. So is CeeDee Lamb our 101? I do like the CD stuff. He's actually going to be one of the pick'ems I want to do. Running backs fairly, I guess there's some, it's pretty flat, right? Pretty flat here. Let's do CD. Let's do CD. All right, Josh has one. All right, so we're gonna get locked in. This isn't a bad idea, Lou. We tried the Pickens longest reception. Was it in my core for off and on the clock 2 weeks ago, and it like didn't hit for the first time in like 4 weeks. But yeah, this is actually a pretty good primetime slate. Dallas, Arizona, you could see this being a shootout. Denver, Las Vegas, I could certainly see that one getting a little fun on Thursday night. Bowers does go 104 there. We'll see what comes back to me at the turn. All right. I think we definitely take Genty. Pretty big drop from Genty to J.K. Dobbins. I guess what I'm looking at the projections on the screen here from ETR, about a 3-point drop. So we will grab him. And then we're basically, looks like we're kind of flat at quarterback here. Brissett actually projecting for a little more than Bo Nix, so I don't mind waiting there. And then both Bowers and McBride are off the board and don't really feel strongly about Ingram versus him. So then we're just looking at running back and wide receiver. I think I'm going to go Dobbins. I don't want to, the Sutton stuff. I don't really want to take Sutton ahead of Franklin at this point. Would want more of a discount. So we'll go Lamb, we'll go Genty, we'll go Dobbins here. I don't know. Judson says I could see Brisket turning into a pumpkin and having only 220 passing yards. Oh, I see what you're saying, that he could still clear it. Yeah. My favorite and is Jacoby, higher fantasy points. I was reading Matt Irby's preview of the game on Legendary Upside this morning. The Cowboys, I believe over the past 5 or 6 weeks, they haven't given up less than 21.3 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And I believe Jacoby's at like 17. And instead of trying to guess exactly how he gets there, and knowing he does have a little rushing juice as well, I kind of like just playing the fantasy points on him. All right, let's see here. So it looks like we're going to end up with Geno as our quarterback. So I like the, we can play the Jacoby angle here. So it'll probably be Jacoby and Ingram, right? Because everybody else already has their quarterbacks. Yeah, we'll go Jacoby, Ingram, and then we will play the Geno to Jacoby stack. I guess Geno, Genty, Jacoby, bring it back with Ingram and Dobbins, and then a one-off CeeDee Lamb from that game. All right, there's that. I want to make sure we have enough time. Josh, hit me with it. Jacoby Brissett. Jay Spiker says, do you do any good with DK this weekend? Do you see on the screen here, the first topic today, right below me, GPPs. We talked about DraftKings for about, 20, 25 minutes. So you can wind back the show and hear the full update about the DraftKings stuff. Dude, Josh, I like this one. Josh says Zay Jones at 17.5 receiving yards early this morning, but that's moved. So I would go Zay, longest reception, 12.5. Let me see what the 17.5 is here, though. So we're going to go Jacoby, 18.7. You like Zay, so it's up to 21.5, but you prefer longest reception, 12.5. Okay. I can see it. I mean, yeah, he's been crushing on this. And then, so the other one I like, guys, is I really like CeeDee Lamb to score a touchdown. I can read you the comment from Matt Irby here, but I thought this was a really good nugget. This is what he said about Lamb. He said he's also a TD regression candidate with only one TD on 476 yards. Based on my TD yards model, Lamb is 1.59 TDs under expected. If his rate straightens out and he starts adding TDs to the production he's already earning, our perception about Lamb's fantasy value will bounce back. So I like playing that. I guess we could also just do fantasy points for him at 15.45, but I kind of like the idea of playing Lamb at even money here for this touchdown thing. The one thing that's kind of a bummer here is we're getting a doc on Jacoby Brissett fantasy points with Zay Jones longest reception. I want to see, just out of curiosity, if the Zay Jones yardage is not docking us, Josh. And I know you don't like it quite as much. Okay, it's a similar doc there. Oh, no. James says McBride receptions feel like a free square. 6.5 at 0.84. I mean, he has been a monster there. 8 and 10 with Jacoby. You can slide Zay back down to 14.5 and use the 40% boost token. Okay, I like this, Coolers. I think this is our angle. Coolers, I like that a lot. So we take Zay Jones. Let's slide him to 14.5 because we're generally trying to get this up to a 6x is what, the fair value is there. Let's 40% boost this. I guess that's 15.73 or sorry, 5.73, but I like that. How do we feel about this, guys? Jacoby Brissett, 18.75 fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb scores a tutty, and Zay Jones goes 14.5 higher. I'm going to lock that in here with the 40% boost. All right, there it is in the chat. And do I have a second boost here? No, it looks like it was just the one boost. You guys want to do one fun slide? Do one fun slide here. I kind of like the idea of sliding like the guys we're already in on. Like, what if we just take the Zay stuff and play him? Like, I mean, these past few games, like 79 and 67. Let's rip in Zay Jones here. I mean, you can throw. Let's do Jacoby. Let's slide Jacoby, and I guess Jacoby's already at 250. But he's done 279 and 320 in like kind of tough matchups. Green Bay through 279. Indy not necessarily a tough matchup, but 320. Let's slide him to like 280. And then let's do something with a Lamb slide. So let's just basically slide our core here. Take CD to like a 100-yard game. Or do you want to slide his receptions? Receptions kind of feel a little better here, right? He's 8 targets, 10 targets. Let's see, what do we like more? 9 catches at a 1.46. What's a 1.46 equivalent? Or 110 yards. Do we like yards or catches for CD? If we like the touchdown there, I kind of like the receptions for him and that he's just a little bit more of a volume monster. Lamb has had almost 100 yards every healthy game. You like the yards? Dallas has allowed 8 40-yard catches this year. Okay, seems like you guys like the yards. All right, let's play. This is a nice one here. Zay Jones, we slide him to 60 yards. Jacoby, we send to 280, and CeeDee Lamb hits the century mark. I like that one. All right, so we got the core, and then we got the slide core, the core slide. All right, let's see if we can keep that that pick 'em heater going here. Do we have anything? So we have an early thing. You guys want to do a quick? Let's do a quick first look of week 10 here. Quick first look. Sammy. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for the super chat, Sammy. Hope you're doing well, brother. All right, let's look at this slate. The truest first look slate we have. Quarterback, we get Lamar and Allen on here. No Mahomes on this slate. No Hurts on this slate. Drake May opening up as QB3. Dart opening up as QB4. Baker's back on it. Stafford, Tua, Caleb, Goff. Pretty flat tier here, I would say, after Lamar and Allen, and then a lot of the pocket passers. Tight ends, no Bowers on the slate because he's playing Thursday, but we do have McBride, Kittle, Laporta, Kincaid, Loveland, Andrews, Henry. Kind of a weaker tight end one. No Warren on this slate. Obviously no Kraft. Running back, we get McCaffrey, Gibbs, Cook, Achane, Henry, Rico, Kyron, maybe Bucky, maybe Judkins, Brees, maybe Swift, Montgomery. Wide receivers, we get, okay, this is the wide receiver slate. Yeah. I don't know if we've had all of these guys all in the same slate in a while. Puka, JSN, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, Igbuka, Adams, Nico. Yeah, this is a strong wide receiver slate. Roma Dunze. Who has the stones to click Roma Dunze versus the Giants? Flop lag? All right, let's get one more. Come on. Someone put me out of my misery and join this playbook for this experiment. This is a good question. Do we get Pearsall and Purdy back this week? My read on it is that Pearsall's a lot closer than Purdy. The vibes on Purdy seem pretty bad. It seems like no true updates, super ambiguous. Did you touch on the Kyler stuff? Do you think he's getting a soft benching? Is that the phrase of the year, soft benching? I mean, it seems like it, right? I mean, Jacoby has been better than him, like full stop. Like I guess Kyler is the type of diva where you kind of want to massage the ego a little bit. I don't know. I don't know the optics that the Cardinals have to deal with, but they're obviously starting the better quarterback. I don't think that's in question. But yeah, it's tricky to know how healthy Kyler actually is, but it just doesn't really matter. Purdy sounds like Burrow, but the 49ers always lie about injuries. Seriously. All right. I am going to take Puka. I am not taking Lamar Jackson third overall. Although Puka with the Q tag, he's probably going to slip a little bit. Here, I will, I can't just talk about us, fading recency bias and not select Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs 103 here. Cluster injury is the phrase of the year. Kyler too busy grinding expected points on Counter-Strike and Call of Duty to care for any soft benching. His heart's definitely not in football. It's one of those things where I feel like this was also the year of like the confirmed rumor or things that sound like noise that are actually real. Najee Harris fireworks accident. There's no way, right? I don't know. That happened. I feel like the Kyler jokes are directionally accurate. Like this dude, I'm not saying video games are directly why he's not a good quarterback, but it seems like he cares about other things. Let's see here. Who do I want to take? Let's play McBride here. McBride versus Seattle. As long as Jacoby keeps playing, nobody else really speaking to me. Pete just read XP from Call of Duty as expected points. You got what does it stand for? What does XP stand for? That is so true. I am about as far from a gamer as you could get. Yes, Fatty McFats. We are doing how we always close the program. Experience points. Okay, I should have known that. To be fair, when you see XP in a fantasy football chat, I am kind of going to default to expected points. Kyron versus San Francisco. Bucky. Have we heard any Bucky updates? Let's also just get a wide receiver here. I mean, Igbuka. We just saw Drake London torch this secondary. Let's go ahead and grab or we saw London torch them. Let's grab Igbuka here versus the Patriots. What's the last game you've played? I don't even have a console of any at my house. So I'm trying to think the last time I would have played video games. I would have had to have been at someone else's house or like at an Airbnb that had one. I'm really struggling to remember the last time I played a video game. It'll probably come to me in a second. It had to have been at like an Airbnb or something like that. I got to imagine. But yeah, I have not. I have a child and I spend a ton of time drafting fantasy football teams. I simply simply do not have the time. And even if I did, I don't think I could justify it. I did like, we would have GoldenEye tournaments in high school. We do Madden in GoldenEye for sure. Now I'm really trying to figure out when the last time I played a video game was. You know what we did? It's technically not like sitting at home and playing a video game, but when we were in Florida for the ship chasing event, we went to this cool like barcade, not the like the corporate barcade, but kind of like a boutique one or whatever. And we were playing, but those were more like old school arcade games, not pure video games. So I don't even know if that counts. Who does Drake May play this week? Yeah, let's play a little game stack here. I mean, Drake May had kind of his toughest game of the year. The Falcons' pass defense has actually been pretty good. And even then, he still flashed a good bit. So we'll play this Drake May, Emeka Egbuka. And then who was in the chat? Someone was talking about Stephon Diggs. T-Cage. Diggs super interesting this week with Booty being out. I don't know. Like, I don't think Booty and like Diggs are really cannibalizing each other or, you know, operating in the same part of the field. Matt, you've posted this in the chat like 100 times. Just give it up, bro. Give it up. It's a Friday show. Things that people like are not going to be the exact same. There, let it go, brother. Let's do the Diggs thing here, though. I'll play this game stack. We'll go May to Diggs and Emeka Egbuka back, and then we'll get a running back here. I don't cast any judgment on people who play video games. Like every do whatever you want with your free time. I'm just, if I had like unlimited free time, it sounds very fun to me to get baked and play video games. Like I'm not casting any judgment on that. I just truly don't have the time for it, and I prioritize other hobbies. But conceptually, I love the idea of video games. It's a good time. Who should be our running back here? Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Kyle Monungai, Aaron Jones. You got the Q tags on Swift and Aaron Jones. You could do Tyrone Tracy flop lag. It's got to be Breece, right? I mean, Breece is coming off of a monster game. He's the clear lead back. Maybe I shouldn't say clear with how much Isaiah Davis played. But if Monungai gets the start, I think what I do you just take Swift and then I think that's what you do. I think the GTO plays, you take Swift and then you pivot to Monungai. Yep. T-Cage all over it. When do I start Christmas decorations? We don't do Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving. But I will I mean, April runs the show, so if April gets in the Christmas spirit before then, all bets are off. All bets are off. All right, guys. Here's the final first look team. We'll see how this one ages here in about 4 or 5 days. Drake May, Jahmyr Gibbs, DeAndre Swift, Emeka Egbuka, Stephon Diggs, and Trey McBride there. All right, good stuff, guys. Hope you enjoy Monday Night Football. Good luck with all of your sweats. I will be back tomorrow for the Swolecast, noon Eastern, the rest of the normal shows this week. Congratulations again to all the winners. Gunner, thank you for the gifted memberships. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next time on the Portfolio